Would you like to have a greater amount of intimacy with the Lord? Would you like to experience God displaying His power in your life and that you are beginning to mature and become the person you desire to be in Christ and have an impact on other people's lives? Where is that intimacy found? Well, part of the challenge, and this is a review of the message from Sunday, April the 14th, 2024. So if you missed that message, just check out the service, because this is just a review, a summary of it. But in that service, I detail out, we're walking through some experience that Moses had from Exodus chapters 4, 5, and 6. But I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to kind of summarize the concepts that are coming from it. And if we want to have intimacy with the Lord, what we have to realize, again, the Bible references and stuff are in the full sermon, is that just because of the way it is in our earthly life. Now, it won't be like this in heaven, but in our earthly life, there are barriers to being able to be a person who's intimate with the Lord. There just are. And we have to know how to handle those barriers and work through them in order to get to that intimacy. And if we don't know how to handle them, then what just typically happens is we bail, we give up on the process that results in having intimacy with the Lord. The three obstacles that surface are, the first one is other people in my life, because people are sometimes they're not even doing anything wrong. It's just their life is clashing with ours, and they're creating frustration for us. They're not providing help. They're creating a lag, a pull. They have an attitude that's discouraging. It's just different things that are there, and we're going to be tempted at times to throw up our hands and say, "Well, it's nothing I can do, so I'm stuck." And then we start focusing more on handling the relationship problems than we do pursuing God and pursuing His will for our lives. And there's a balance to this. It's not that we need to neglect our relationships with others, but we need to be respectful and understanding and try to work things out. But we also need to identify when those relationships are keeping me from doing the things that I need to do to have intimacy with the Lord. Those things play out in the typical things like spending time in prayer, spending time studying His Word, spending time involved in the church, going to the services and the Bible studies and so forth, serving in ministry, making disciples, and evangelizing, witnessing to others, and living a righteous life. And if someone is getting in the way of my ability to pursue that, I need to be polite and understanding, but I also need to make sure that I don't let that keep me from it. And listen, there's going to be distractions all the time that are just jumping in front of us, and they're creating a distraction from moving forward with God's will. The other category is our expectations, that I expect certain things to go a certain way or to meet a certain time frame, and when that doesn't, or when my expectations aren't met, we tend to unravel at some point. And a good example of that is if we're praying for someone to be healed and we're expecting them to be healed and then they die. Well, God has told us that everybody's going to die. So we need to be able to manage our expectations and knowing that there are certain things that are possible to happen, that I don't want to happen, but it's possible that they are going to happen. God said they were going to happen, so it's not that He's being unfaithful in that those are taking place. And I need to be able to manage those things so that when I land on them, I don't lose all my faith in the Lord or in any of the practices in following Him, because I'm like if I'm studying the Bible or praying and I'm not seeing the result, or I'm involved in Christian fellowship ministry, all of those things, and I'm just not seeing the results, or I'm trying to overcome sin and I keep struggling with it, and I'm still in a struggle with it today, or I've been free from it for years and now I'm struggling with it again. My expectations that I was going to always be flawless, I need to manage that. and the way to manage it with dealing with people, with dealing with these expectations, and dealing with all my emotions that come, because that's the other thing, is sometimes we're a mess, right? We don't know what to do with ourselves and all our emotions that we have. So the response, the answer to that in managing them is knowing what's happening, knowing what to expect, and then seeking the Lord through each of those issues, asking the Lord's help and support and empowerment, and seeking Him, and then keep going at His will, because where God is most present is where His will is taking place. And so if I want intimacy with Him, like it or not, that's where I have to be, is in the center of His will. So relationship things come up, circumstances happen, and my emotions get in a certain place. What's the answer? Pray, seek the Lord, and keep moving ahead. Keep moving ahead. It's that dynamic of assessing what's going on, managing those things, seeking the Lord, and moving ahead with His will. That's what results in having intimacy with Him. That's what results in Him displaying His power in our lives. Things are going to be a mess at times. Sometimes things are going to fall apart. Sometimes things are going to go wrong with people. Sometimes I'm going to struggle and stumble, whether it's just in general or even struggling with sin and those kind of things. It's the nature of this earthly life. And if I can embrace those dynamics, accept what's happening, seek the Lord's help and seek His face and move ahead with His will, that's what's going to result in God displaying His power in my life and me receiving an intimate relationship with Him. If you have any questions regarding that or anything really, just leave that in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you on how this content is impacting your lives, or share it with someone if it's valuable to you and you think it might be valuable to them. The more you like and comment, that'll increase activity for other people to see it. If you would like to grow in your faith in person and you live in the Pittsburgh area, we are Bethel Assembly of God at 2501 Staten Street. We'd love for you to join us Wednesdays at 6:30 or Sundays at 10 a.m. God bless.